The world is waking up to a moment that could redefine global power, sovereignty, and international law. Reports are emerging that Nicolás Maduro, the sitting president of Venezuela, has been captured following what the United States has confirmed as a large-scale military operation on Venezuelan soil. If true, this would mark one of the most dramatic escalations in international relations in decades.
And what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship they'll be heading to, ultimately, New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over in particular the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have on average two a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're walking their daughters. They're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. It's been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolás Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, it's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors, operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement, caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea.
And the reaction from the global south has been swift, loud, and unapologetic. China is condemning it, Russia is warning of consequences, and South Africa is calling for an urgent United Nations Security Council meeting. This is not just about Venezuela. This is about the future of sovereignty itself. According to official statements and international reactions, The United States has acknowledged the use of direct military force inside Venezuela, an operation that reportedly resulted in the detention of President Maduro and his wife. The move has sent shockwaves across diplomatic circles. For many nations, this is being viewed not as a security operation, but as external military intervention in the internal affairs of a sovereign state, a line that international law explicitly warns against. Venezuela, already under years of sanctions, economic pressure, and political isolation, has now become the center of a global legal and moral debate. In a powerful and unusually direct response, South Africa has expressed grave concern over the reported U.S. action. Pretoria emphasized that the United Nations Charter clearly prohibits the use of force against the territorial integrity and political independence of any sovereign nation. South Africa warned that history has already shown us the consequences of unilateral military actions: prolonged instability, regional chaos, collapse of international law. As a result, South Africa has formally called for an urgent meeting of the United Nations Security Council, stressing that the Council has a responsibility to act, not selectively, but consistently. China has issued a strong condemnation, rejecting what it describes as the use of force against a sovereign nation, and reiterating its long-standing position that regime change through military means violates international norms. Meanwhile, Russia has delivered some of the harshest criticism yet, warning that the attack undermines global stability and sets a dangerous precedent. Moscow has also demanded a full emergency session of the UN Security Council, signaling that this issue is no longer bilateral, it is global. Together, these reactions show a deepening divide between Western unilateralism and a growing bloc of states demanding multipolar accountability. This moment raises uncomfortable but necessary questions. If powerful nations can capture elected leaders by force, what does sovereignty really mean? If international law is enforced only against the weak, is the global system truly rules-based? And if the UN fails to act decisively, what message does that send to the developing world? For Africa, Latin America, and Asia, regions that have lived through coups, invasions, and proxy wars, this situation feels hauntingly familiar. South Africa has reaffirmed its commitment to multilateralism, international law, and peaceful conflict resolution. The world now waits to see whether the United Nations will rise to the moment or whether power will once again override principle. One thing is clear: this is not just Venezuela's crisis. It is a test of the global order itself. Music fades out.
Thank you. Thank you